I've been seeing the talks, I've been hearing the chatter, and I've seen the design. This will be a spoiler for One Piece chapter 1179. If you haven't read it yet, if you don't want to be spoiled on Emu's design, please keep scrolling. Right before I get to the design, this image, cold blooded. This is truly, I think, like some of the most sinister imagery we've gotten across One Piece in a very long time. The pentagram in the sky kind of looks like the same one that they used on that island to summon Brook. We now know that this is what the Holy Knights and the Gorosei use to kind of teleport between islands and stuff like that. Emu needing one of this size to come down to the lower realm is insane. It gives you a feeling of who we're truly up against. Oda has finally revealed the mastermind. He is the veil that stands between the true history and the rest of the world. The creator of the world government. The one of 20 kings. Saint Norona Emu. With the ability Devil's Fruit. Not just a devil fruit, the Devil's Fruit. This is not the official translation, so I don't know if it's still going to read Devil's Fruit, but I can imagine it's still going to be something similar to this. I'm not gonna lie, this design goes insanely hard. It's probably one of my favorite Oda designs so far across One Piece. So I'm going to be doing a breakdown of Emu's design and connecting it to some things that we've already seen in One Piece. Right before that though, even Emu coming down to the lower realm brings the surrounding area to life, very similar to Big Mom's Devil Fruit. Let's start with the top of the design and just kind of work our way down. Emu has this very interesting spear type weapon. It has like a funky blade on the end of it. And on the very top, it has these black puffy clouds with the swirl pattern. In fact, all around Emu, you can see black clouds with swirl patterns. The spear actually kind of reminds me of what we've seen with the Sun God Nika design that we got in Wano. Sun God Nika was depicted with a spear as well as a sword. Kind of reminds me of Emu's spear with the kind of like weird ball end and the blade end. Next, Emu has a black Hagoromo, very similar to Luffy's Hagoromo in Gear 5. He has a white one with a swirl pattern in it, but it also reminds me of Lucci and Kaku's awakened forms where they have the black flame Hagoromo. Eames has eyes inside of it instead of a swirl pattern. So I wonder what that's significant to. We also see later in his sort of close-up that he has an eye on his hand, which I think may have something to do with where he's from, but we'll have to like wait and see for stuff like that. Emu also has white hair with a swirl pattern, which is interesting. It reminds me of Luffy's clouds, again, with the them being white and having the swirl pattern in them. The swirl pattern is very significant in One Piece, especially according to Oda. I believe he said in like a SBS it's supposed to like represent the sort of like rotational force of the world, something similar to that. I don't have the SBS, so I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the swirl pattern is very significant in the story. Next, let's talk about Emu's horns. Emu's horns have like a very interesting shape to them. They almost remind me of a cross between an ancient giant's horns and the Oni horns, the type of horn that Yamato has. The horns are also black, very similar to Harold and Loki, so Emu could have some connection to the ancient giants. Emu, of course, has the rings around the eyes that we've seen on multiple characters across the series. Also, are we all still in agreement that the rings around the eyes still matters? Like, I haven't heard anybody talk about that in a really long time. But is it still significant? I feel like it's still significant. Like, Oda's clearly trying to tell us something with that. Emu also has a tattoo on his face, and we've seen tattoos on other characters' faces across the series. We've seen it on Wiper, we've seen it on Dragon, and we've seen it on King. As we've seen with Wiper, and as we'll probably see with King, those tattoos on their faces come from their culture. With Dragon, though, his tattoo seems to be like fairly recent. Like, we haven't always seen him with that tattoo on his face. He didn't have it during the flashback with Vegapunk, and he didn't have it as a Marine. So where he got it from and when he got it, it's not very clear, but I'm sure we'll see the significance behind that at some point. I've also seen some descriptions of Emu's skin. I've seen it being described as brown. I'm not sure if it's brown. It could be red for all we know. I mean, it is black and white, so I'm gonna assume for right now that it's brown. I was immediately going to call Emu a Lunarian, but I don't think Emu has wings. Even in this close-up shot, I don't see any like outlines of wings. So I don't think he's a Lunarian. Lunarians also don't have horns. I mean, King doesn't have horns, so I don't think he's a Lunarian. Emu also has like this interesting cloak around him, and on the cloak you can see that there's some sort of symbol. I can't really make it out. I thought it was the eyeball that he has on his hand, but I don't think it's that same design. He also has this kind of black rope on the bottom of him, and on this rope, whatever it is, you can see that there are skulls, and these skulls have horns, and these horns are definitely a different shape than Emu's horns. This man is wearing the skulls of his enemies as everyday accessories. His tail is also kind of like a classic devil tail that we see depicted across like everything that the devil is ever depicted in. There's, of course, other religious imagery in this design. The eyes around the Hagoromo is very similar to the, I believe they're called Oraphim, which are like the gods with, or the angels with the dozens and dozens of eyes. You can also bring that back to the idea of the Seraphim, and then you can bring that back to the idea of Emu truly being the devil in the angel's clothing. I think that the ability being called Devil's Fruit is also very significant. The Devil's Fruit could be the reason for his devil-like appearance. It could also be the source behind his powers of Domi Reversi. Boy, I knew for a fact when Oda designed King that he was going to cook with those designs going forward. Loki, say what you want about him as a character, that is a cold design. Even the whole 2-page spread of elbaf, like, just go back and look at it. Like, that is pure flex. But Emu? Good job, Oda. Good job. Let me know if I missed anything.